Here's the writer's Allman Brother for Friday, January 23rd, 2026. It's the birthday of poet Louis Zukofsky, born 1904 in the shtetls of Lower Manhattan to Lithuanian stereotypes. His father was a night watchman who also put pants on people that weren't himself, presumably for money. As a child, Zukofsky saw the Wiz performed in Yiddish and was forever changed, especially by the recurring number Schleppen down der Alleyway. He'd sing it at top volume in the halls of Stuyvesant High School until the Goyim headmaster had had enough and left him mewling in a basket on the steps of Columbia University. He soon joined the Boar's Head Society there, the only known student group devoted to poetry and cold-sliced meat. His poem Ode to a Pork Shoulder saw him briefly disowned by his family. Zukofsky would go on to lead a poetic movement called the Objectivists, who treated their poems as objects, balling them up and hurling them at each other in Central Park while giggling like bees. George Oppen hit a rock in his once and shattered Zukofsky's ocular bone. They all scapegoated Lorene Niedecker for owning a vagina. Whenever they got tired, they'd repair back to William Carlos Williams's place and steal his wife's plums, which, contrary to previous reporting, were neither juicy nor cold, but rather laced with antifreeze. No one could see for the rest of the year. They dictated their poems into the ear of a crossing guard who yelled them aloud at passing cars. Zukofsky's major work was a sequence of poems titled A. It was hailed by Ezra Pound as the greatest manuscript with a single letter for a title that he'd read that week. Zukofsky conceived it as a series of 24 movements, A24. The modern-day film company refuted a copyright claim from Zukofsky's estate, saying they'd named themselves after a 24-year-old weed dealer named Bubas Fluchowski. After Pound published it in his journal Poems with a Single Letter for a Title That I've Read This Week, the two men struck up a friendship that lasted until one day, when they were leather shopping, Pound said, "Oh, I forgot to mention, I'm a fascist. That's okay, right?" Louis Zukofsky, whose work was so mystifying to New York Times obituarians that they devoted the same amount of inchage to an article headlined, "Way Clear for the Yacht Sequoia to be Used as a Toaster Battery." And it's the birthday of St. Lucian poet and playwright Derek Walcott, who, along with James Joyce and Gabriel Garcia Marquez, has one of the greatest mustaches in literary history. Walcott used it to collect the fumes of sun-splashed white sand beaches on his home island and breathe those aromas across the page. His epic poem Omeros had the Nobel Prize Committee referring to him as the Caribbean Homer and also the West Indian Ned Flanders. It's said that he originated the phrase howdily doodly, but failed to copyright it, a regret he would take with him to the saunas of Boston, where he taught English and probably had the worst Caribbean food outside of Ireland. When Walcott was in the running to be the Oxford Professor of Poetry, a position that both pays and requires almost nothing, the selection committee received an anonymous package including photocopied pages from a book called The Lecherous Professor, an uncountable noun given that Walcott was but one of the proletchers mentioned therein. He bowed out of the running, and the post went to the poet Ruth Paddle, who claimed to have nothing to do with dropping a dime on her rival for the post, which she totally did. And after a bunch of more British people went, Paddle herself stepped down. Here's a poem for today by Caroline Knox, entitled Names for the Sun. Come all ye brave stargazers on your porches. The sun today, in its own favor, will set with tropical repetitiveness under cover of dark down in San Antone. The sun is the third person. The sun has long hair now. No, short. But if not, hack. The sun is a new critic. It has a Fulbright this year, do tell. As to particles, it is a picklock. As to rays, well, there you are. Histrionic motes and beams. The sun is a Trafalgar man, and shines in Philly, where it is a reification of the epiphenomena. Joseph William Mallard Turner, 1775 to 1851, said, "The sun is God." Kooky sun seeker, can you feature it? Damn it, the sun has a Fulbright every year, and will set down in San Antone today, in the desert by the significant estuary. Names for the sun. Not that it needs them, but the game is worth the candle. Beanmonger, set piece, Fellow of the Royal Society. In its own favor, the sun of good report ends pretty much where it began. A gift. Your lovely and textured gift. because you've been such loyal consumers. Names for the Sun by Caroline Knox. Used without permission here on the Writer's Allman Brother. Supported by Fay Beans, making a torchlight in your homeostasis engine. Now available in Panama Red, Degraded Sandpiper, and Fofo Indigent. Until next week, be well, bounce a check, and go to jail.